Welcome to DISCflex certification.
Now we're going to look at what I consider the foundation of the executive coaching work I do with DISCflex, which is how to explain to people how to actually flex their behavior as it relates to that pie chart. Super exciting. And if you remember, the pie chart is a composite of all of the levels, the bar graph, all of the levels of the four quadrants, D, I, S, and C, that appear in your entire personality. So if you look at this particular person, you will see that their pie chart has about, it has an 80% D. So you'd think that their whole personality would be ruled by that 80% D, but it's not, because we have three other components that come into behavior. You don't just operate all with your D because you have an 80% D. It just doesn't happen. Yes, it will sometimes overpower your personality and your behavior, but the bottom line is you use all four of these factors, not in equal measure by any stretch of the imagination, and not always appropriately, but you do use them. And the goal is to get to the place where you know which ones are situationally appropriate and desirable and be able to pull those out of your hat. Now, you do that by looking at your pie chart and deciding which behaviors do you currently have and which ones can you flex. So when I look at the pie chart, I say, okay, I have in this particular person's pie chart, if I were coaching them, I have 38% of that pie being allocated to D. I have 22% of the pie being allocated to the I. So the D is going to overpower the I by about twice. I have 20% and 20% equally in the compliance and steadiness and strategy behaviors. But what happens if you want to overpower your D behaviors? What if you want to kind of dial it back? So if you do want to dial it back a little bit, you've got a couple choices. You can lower the D by using those suggestions that we just went over and dialing down that D. But at the same time, if you could rise the other behaviors and lift them up with some of those suggestions that we went over, so dialing down the D and simultaneously dialing up another behavior, the I, S, or C, you're going to change the dynamic. And if you think of it in terms of a pie in the pie chart, the D will become squished, but something else has to fill it in. So you don't want to do this by happenstance or without thinking. You want to be prudent and wise in your behavioral choices, in your flexing, so that you're doing things that are situationally appropriate, that will get you to the optimal place by using the appropriate behaviors. That's it in a nutshell. So if I wanted to be more thoughtful and empathetic towards my team and still get things done, I could dial down the D just slightly, or I could choose not. I could choose to up my green portion of the pie, which is my steadiness. And what I would do then is I'd get rid of some of the rules that the team was using that particular moment, and maybe I'll give them, uh, we'll just go out for dinner, which we've never done before as a team, or we'll go and do something that's completely different in team dynamics. So we take what has been going on for all this time, the way we behave, and do something slightly different. And that would be lowering the C and doing something thoughtful, kind, that the team might enjoy. That would be pushing up the S. Whenever you change behavior, something in that pie chart is going to either compress or expand, and it's going to affect the other behaviors in there. So what does it look like? How does it look in terms of DISC? Well, if you start segmenting pieces of the pie, it's pretty cool. So if you looked at steadiness and compliance, two behaviors, just focus on two. If you looked at steadiness and compliance together, those are your more introverted behaviors. So if you wanted to be more introverted, and away from the crowds. You would take those pie pieces, determine how much is currently in your pie chart, and make them at least 50% to override the other two behaviors. If you wanted to be more task oriented, then what you would do in the tasks that are important and organized, you would increase your D and your C behaviors, make them more than 50% of your behavioral makeup for the situation. If you wanted to be more people oriented, you would go and increase your thoughtfulness, your steadiness, your strategy component, which is that caring aspect of your personality, and you'd go with influence. So you would increase the blue and the green in your pie chart. And then if you wanted to be more extroverted, you would most certainly up that D to put yourself out there and increase your I, which is your talkativeness. And you would increase those two pieces of the pie chart simultaneously to get great results. That is what you would do. It's super exciting to think of it in terms of this, where you can flex down and flex up simultaneously, one or two different behaviors. Super amazing.